Business owner, you know that attracting clients is a must if you want to stay in business. And social media is a fantastic way to do that. But it can be overwhelming and time consuming if you're trying to do all the things, and all the things aren't exactly what you should be doing for your business. So in today's video, I'm going to share 10 tips to help you attract your ideal clients using social media. Hi, I'm Joyce Layman, and I help coaches to attract and connect with their ideal clients online using simple social systems so they can generate more leads and make a bigger impact without getting overwhelmed in the process. If you've been part of my lives at all, you know that I share a lot in a short amount of time. So if you want the show notes, then drop the word social in the comments, and I promise I will get those to you when we get done. Social media is a hot topic. In fact, I get a lot of questions on it. So that's why I wanted to give you these 10 tips today. Now, number one is what is going to drive everything that you do. And I will challenge you to make sure that you stay tuned for number 10, because it's the critical piece that puts all of this together. So the very first thing that you need to do is identify and stick to a niche. All too often, especially if you're newer in business, then I see coaches, I see consultants, I see entrepreneurs trying to be everything to everybody versus getting really focused with what their ideal niche is. Now, to be clear, your niche isn't what you do. Think of it as your specialty. There are a ton of coaches. There are a ton of yoga instructors. There are a ton of insurance agents. There is a lot of different bankers. There's, even if you think wellness coaches or relationship coaches, there's a lot of those. But when you really fine tune your niche, then what happens? It drives the content that you create. It drives the messaging that you create. So then your ideal clients can see that you are the person who can potentially help them solve their problem. So what you want to think about is what your sweet spot is. And if you haven't done the research to find that out, then you need to back up and do the research to figure out what your niche is. So that way you can put together your value statement, which is very simply, I help blank to blank, right? Fill in the blanks on those, because you're going to be using that on your website, in your social media bios. If you're introduced at all, if you do speaking, or maybe you're being interviewed, then that value statement is the first thing that your ideal clients should see. So if you want to create a brand that sells, then get very clear, identify your niche, and stick with it. The other thing is, don't be wishy-washy. Okay, number two, if you want to attract your ideal clients online, then make sure that your social profiles are visible, number one, and number two, they're connect worthy. All too often, what I see are vague bios. I was out on Instagram earlier today. In fact, I thought about showing you profiles, but I don't. I want to protect the guilty of this. But if you think when somebody's scrolling through social media, and it's all about how do you stop the scroll, if somebody sees a post and they go to your bio, whether it's Facebook, it's LinkedIn, it's Instagram, wherever that might be, your bio, backing up to number one, should clearly tell who you are, who you help. So if you think about it, ask yourself the question, who am I? And why does my audience even care? That's what should help you to create your social media bios. So as I said, you've got to be visible as well. And all too often, in fact, I was even guilty of this for a long time, is even if your personal Facebook profile, if you're in business, your personal Facebook profile should have the settings to visible. All too often, we have our settings set up so it's only going to family and friends, or you have it in a limited audience. Now, I totally get that if you have kiddos and you don't want people to see information like that, you can always adjust in the posts that you make the visibility of those posts, but you do want to make your profiles public. Why? When I have people asking to join the collective, the first thing I do is I go out and I look at their profile. We've had too many bots come in. We've had too many fake profiles come in. And when I get to their personal social media profile, there's very limited information. So you can see a few posts and maybe an update. Most of the time, it doesn't even say anything about their business, which is another big mistake. Going back to, you want to make sure your profile is connect worthy, especially if you're using it for business. So make sure it's visible. Make sure your Instagram profile is visible. Yes, you can have a personal Instagram, and yes, you can have a business Instagram. If you're in business, I would suggest having one Instagram account, not multiples. That's a question I get asked all the time, because why do you want to do twice the amount of work? That make sure it's visible, and then get strategic about the content that you're going to create. You can post business content on your personal Facebook page as long as you do it in a way that isn't over salesy. It's a great way to make connections. And besides the fact, you never know who of your friends or acquaintances that you might know of somebody to connect to. So always make sure, here's your tips, set it to visible. You want to make sure in your Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, that everything's set up to be visible. And then secondly, updated headshots. I can't tell you how often I see outdated headshots, and it's not a good thing, especially if you're over on LinkedIn and you're meeting people in person and you show up. It's kind of like that bad first date, and your profile photo looks nothing like what you look like in person. So that's super important, especially if you're going live. People are going to see the real you. So make sure that your profile photo counts. Also, customize your background image. These are all things that you can do that make your profile connect worthy, so people are more inclined, and your ideal clients are going to see that you can help them. Okay, now number 3 is use video to your advantage. Now, of course, you're going to be creating content. You should be creating good content consistently, but all of the experts, I've been paying attention for the last couple of months, and especially like what are the trends in 2023, the biggest marketing companies in the world. These are the ones that manage large companies as well as solopreneurs, the online folks like us. They all say that video is the best way to get your message out to a bigger market faster. Why? The social media profile or platforms are pushing video content. Video content comes in a number of different ways. It can be short form video, it can be live video, but that's where use video. It's one of those days. Use video to your advantage, and don't be afraid of messing up like I just did, because you know what? It's about creating an authentic connection. So it goes back to, if you know, number 1, your niche, and then number 2, you're very clear on your profile, right? Your value statement, and then you get super targeted on your content, then using video is a way that you're going to get your face out to more people. You will extend your reach. So if you're wondering, what on earth do I do when it comes to content? My content to connections marketing map actually lists 9 different pillars. And I've got this together in a easy to use spreadsheet. So if you want that, then drop the word spreadsheet in the comments, and I'll make sure that you'll get this after the video. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. So there are 9 pillars when it comes to creating content. Now, I'm sure you've probably heard of your offer pillars. There's actually 9 content pillars. It's a little bit of a different approach, but this is going to encompass everything that you need to be focusing on with your content, whether that be static post, carousel post, or especially live video. All right. So your educational pillars, there's actually 3 of each one of these. So educational pillars, you're going to be calling out mistakes. You're going to be addressing industry myths, and that's where you're going to be providing valuable tips to your audience. The second is inspirational pillars. So this is everything like fun facts, inspirational and motivational posts. And the third one, really important, is how you're going to shift beliefs of your target audience with the content that you create. And then the third are your sales and promotional pillars. And this is where you're going to address objections. You can address objections in the content you put out versus waiting to get on a call with somebody and having to do it then. If you're strategic about it, you can do this. Also, offering social proof. This is testimonials. And then third, promoting your service. So those are 9 content pillars. As I said, if you want my content to connections marketing map with a very simple spreadsheet that you can plug in your information and use that, then drop the word map in the comments and I will make sure and send it your way. Now, When it comes to video, and I know this is what I get, pushback is people are afraid to put their face out there, is if you look at Reels, you look at TikTok, you look at short form, even LinkedIn has their short form video that they're starting to push, and especially YouTube Shorts. That is the number one thing that I hear the industry buzz talking about, how YouTube's going to be pushing that content to more people. You can actually create one short form video in 60 seconds, and you can use it on multiple platforms. Going back to, if you know who your target audience is, then you're going to know where they're spending time. That's why your step number 1 and step number 2 are so important, because you don't want to be on all the platforms doing all the things, exhausting yourself, and it's not being focused on your target market and focused on your business. Now, another thing to consider too is if you want to take that next step with video, then if you go live. So as an example, I go live weekly and I use Restream. That is my platform of choice. And what happens is one video, one platform. I am out on my Facebook business page. I am in my private Facebook group, my collective Facebook group. I'm on YouTube and I'm on LinkedIn. So it's not like I'm having to go live on 4 different platforms. I go live on one platform. And when it comes to content, I take one video script, I turn it into a blog post, which is also show notes, and then I can turn that into content. So it also lessens the amount of time that I have to spend creating content, but I'm willing to put myself out there and go live. Are you going to run into a tech glitch on occasion? Yes. Are you going to flub your lines if you're live? Absolutely. But you know what? It isn't about being polished and perfect. And here's your hint. The polished and perfect Instagram influencers, that's not what people want to see. And that's not the people that are going to invest with you want to see. They want to connect with you, the person. So it's important when you show up. And if you show up live, even if it's a 60-second reel, a TikTok, I'm doing a lot on YouTube Shorts, then that way it helps to increase that connection because you're more authentic when you go live. Okay, now the next tip about how to attract more clients is consider increasing your outreach through cross promotion. What do I mean by that? It's not using just one channel. I've mentioned this before. We've watched Instagram shut down. We've watched Facebook shut down. And part of it, well, 1 year Facebook didn't shut down because of a technical glitch on their end. The last time Instagram was doing updates, they were trying to get rid of bots and they inadvertently locked thousands of people out of their accounts. And it took almost a day for some people to get access. If you're betting your entire business on one social media platform and something happens and you get locked out, I've seen business owners get locked out of Facebook business pages that they've had forever. They never got access back. People's accounts have been hacked. Then that's going to be a problem for you if you're betting your entire business on one platform. That's why it's important when you look at expanding your reach through cross promotion. Then if you look at, if you're on Instagram, so maybe your ideal clients are on Instagram and Facebook, then how can you use that? And I'm going to push you to incorporate email marketing as part of that. Why? If somebody's paying attention and they love your content on social media and they're wanting to engage and you invite them for a free offer, right? Maybe it's a call. I would highly dissuade you from having a call as the only thing that's free. It's like my marketing map. If somebody wants it, I'm going to send you a DM and say, here's your marketing map. And then if you want to continue the conversation, great. And if you don't, that's great. But I know I have something that my clients find of value that I want to give you a taste and also simplify content creation. So think about that. Now, some people will say, absolutely, they'll go to my website and they want the visibility playbook or they want another of my freebies that I have there and they're willing to put in their email. They know that when they do that, that I'm going to continue to give them more value than I would if they're just interacting with me on social media because I want to nurture the contacts on my email list. Is everybody a fit to be on my list? Heck no. But the benefit is if you have great email content that you're nurturing relationships off social media, then you can also go follow people on social media. You can give your followers some love on their social profiles. It makes it a great win-win. But that's why you want to have cross promotion. All right, your next tip, be consistent. You're not going to build an audience overnight. It takes time. Unless you want to spend a fortune on ads, you have to have all of these things in place. You've got to make sure that you are consistent with what you're doing, which backs up to your first steps. Know your niche, know exactly where you're supposed to be, where your target audience is spending time, and then be consistent with the content that you're offering. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. I just shared my content strategy that I can spend, in fact, I've got a new class coming up where you can literally batch all of your content for the month in 2 hours. That means all of your topics, all of your content, and have it created in Canva in 2 hours. So then it's just a matter of posting it on social. All right. So when it comes to being consistent, it's not just posting content. The other thing that you want to make sure that you are doing is you're interacting with your audience. So part of that is you've got to make sure if somebody comments on a post that you put out there that you're not on social media once a week, that you're responding back. Why? If somebody comments on your post, then that's showing the social media platform that they're interested in what you have. So that way, if you're out engaging, maybe you're sending them a DM as a follow-up, you're professional, you're giving them a tip of what it's like to work with you. In fact, yesterday is a great example. I have my visibility challenge coming up, and I had a woman reach out to me via message saying, hey, I filled out the form. Now what do I do next? So she had found the link on Instagram in my bio. She had joined the visibility challenge, and she was trying to figure out how to get into the Facebook group. What I did in the meantime is I went out to her Instagram profile, and lo and behold, she had 2 accounts and didn't know it. Somebody else had set up another profile under her name. And so it was that simple. Did you know you had this? I screenshotted it, sent it to her. And then that's when Carol figured out, when she tried to reset the password, somebody else had set up a profile using her name. So that's why it is so important that in the midst of everything that you're doing, it's always think of how you can be of service. She's coming to a free visibility challenge, which is fantastic, but I also helped her avert a potential problem since somebody had opened up an Instagram profile under her name with her profile picture. So sometimes you're going to find that offering advice or being of value, it isn't necessarily related to what you do. But if your audience sees that you're all about offering value, being a value service, value first, as my friend Bob Berg would say, who wrote The Go-Giver, then it all comes back in the end. All right, the next thing is build relationships first. So one of the questions I get asked all the time is like, why don't I have more followers on social media? My question to you is, how many people are you actively following? How many people a day, how many new accounts are you going out to and you're following, whether it be on Facebook or Instagram? To me, Instagram, if you're brand new to social media, it's a great way to figure out how to do this because they make the platform, I think it's easier to start than Facebook. So you don't want to be seen as the person who's just selling. But say for an example, and I will tell on myself. So if you go out to my Instagram, you're going to see that I'm following a lot of other service providers, entrepreneurs, especially coaches, since that's my ideal market. I also follow a lot of animal accounts. But I have to make sure I am very careful because if you're following random people or you're following very few people on Instagram, first off, Instagram doesn't know who to tell you to show up in your feed. So say, for example, all you're following are cat accounts or dog accounts, but you want to use Instagram for your business, then you're going to see more cat and dog and horse or whatever that is. They're not going to be showing you people that want to be your target audience. In turn, those people aren't necessarily going to know that you're out there. So that's why my challenge is to you when it comes to building relationships first is especially go out to Instagram. I make it a point every single day. I go out, I look and see who's commented. I look at my new followers. I go out and engage on their content, right? You want to spread the love. And when I go follow somebody, they're going to show you other people that look like them. That's how you get more followers, is by building relationships first and following other people first, thinking all you have to do is post content. These people are going to show up on your page. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so join communities and groups. That is your next tip to attract clients on social media. It's the difference between posting content versus being visible. If you go out and you join other communities, these other communities can be, maybe it's fellow coaches, it's fellow yoga instructors, it's fellow wellness folks, or it's anybody in that wellness space. So maybe that, maybe your niche or niche is wellness. So you can be in that space. Also think about joining groups of resources where your ideal clients, what resources they might be using. So it isn't just like Women of Kansas City is a local group that I'm in. I do interact sometimes, and a lot of times it's local people saying, hey, I need help with this person, or I'm looking for an introduction here. So that's great. There's also a lot of online groups that I'm in, like Speakers Collaboration is fantastic. I've gotten lots of opportunities with speaking ops and bundles in there. But then also think about what are the resources that your ideal clients are using. Go join those Facebook business pages. And a tip, if you have a business page on Facebook, join them as your page. Now, I said I was going through quick. So if you want the show notes, then drop the word. It's not cooperating. Okay, then drop the word social to get the show notes for this, because I am still not done. Okay, so with that, if you're joining communities, then you're going to use the same approach where you're going to build relationships first. So this is where you look at content that you can comment on, that you can add value. And then always, like I said, go at it with, you want to offer value first and be a resource. You don't want to go in and sell. In fact, a lot of those groups and communities don't allow you to pitch posts, except if it's in specific threads. I do that in the collective, but go look and interact. It's always about interact first, answer questions, be of value. You can show your expertise that way. All right, collaborate with other experts. This is a perfect way that you can attract more clients through social media. This is called borrowing other people's audiences, and it's a great way to increase your visibility. Now, if you just said, Joyce, I'm newer in business, I don't have a big audience, why would anybody want to collaborate with me? Well, if you're a subject matter expert and you can add value to their audience, I guarantee there's a good chance they're going to say yes. It's how you approach this opportunity. So if you reach out to somebody and say, hey, I want you to interview me, and I'm not going to do anything in return, if that's what your email or your message sounds like, then the odds that they're going to say they want to collaborate are slim to none. But if you say, hey, and this is why that Summit Speaker Collaboration group, people are always looking for experts there. And it may be a 10-minute virtual summit. It could be as simple as an Instagram reel collaboration or a post collaboration. Those are easy to do. So it's where you think about who's somebody that you can benefit when it comes to win-win with your audiences. Now, sometimes you're going to see other people as competition. I like to say, where's their cooperation? Because when it's cooperation and you can expand your reach to a different audience, then that is a great way that you can collaborate with other experts. You can be interviewed on podcasts. You can insert as a guest blog post. It could be a Facebook Live in somebody's group. But always reach out with that intent of, what can I do to add value back? If your list isn't very big, not a problem. Say, what else can I do? I will promote this to my list. I will reach out individually to people that I know. How can you drive interest to that collaboration? And people will appreciate that. Okay. The next tip, we've got two more, is work your network. This is huge. Your fastest way to close business is through referrals. Now, typically, if somebody knows what you do and they have influence over somebody who's looking at making a decision and they make a proper introduction, it's going to shorten your sales cycle significantly. So part of this is your relationships in business are everything. So if you work your network, how you want to do this on social media is, first off, your family, your friends, your business associates may know of somebody that would be a good fit for your services. The first thing you have to do is ask. All too often I see people, they don't ask, they don't want to intrude. I made a connection one time. It was for my nephew, and he happened to find out the next door neighbor who was over across the fence behind him was a business connection of all things. It was like, but they didn't know that. I had seen that happen so many times. It's crazy because all too often we don't think that our neighbors may be the business connection we need, or vice versa. So we just don't have those conversations. Always, as you're reaching out, this is where you're going to use social media to your advantage. Go do some research. You want to go look at their Facebook. If they're on LinkedIn, look to see who's there. Look to see the connections that you have in common. and then reach out and start a conversation. Part of it is go in with that mindset of adding value first. Let them know what you're trying to accomplish. Ask them, do you know anybody who might be interested, or do you know somebody, that might want to look at this information? So maybe it is an offer that you have, or maybe it's a free workshop that you have. Maybe you're just looking to interview some people to get some insights. Your network is one of the best places to do that. You have to ask, but then always ask, what can you do in return? At the very beginning, I told you that number 10 was the most important, and that is show up. This is the one that so many people miss. If social media is uncomfortable, you might post a little bit of content. You're not quite sure how to get out there. Interacting with somebody in the direct messaging might completely blow your mind. But here's the thing. If you want to get more clients for your business using social media, that means you have to get social on social media. So hiding behind your desk and hoping that somebody's going to click on an offer and say yes typically doesn't work. You've got to put your face out there. So this is why before you reach out to anybody, you're going to search their social media profile. You're going to make sure that you are well read and you can ask the right questions. But it's literally thinking about social media like it's an online networking event. This is even more important if you're introverted. You can hide behind your computer, especially if you're just DMing somebody. So most importantly, you have to show up. If you don't, I don't care what your business is. If you want to use social media, then it's important that you put yourself out there. Okay, now to wrap up, because I have people say, can you do a quick recap? Absolutely. Here is your recap with 10 tips to help you attract your ideal clients through social media. Now, the first thing to keep in mind is social media can be overwhelming, confusing. There's a lot of conflicting messages. You're trying to do all the things, but all the things aren't working. So it's about using social media strategically for your business. Your first key step, and this drives absolutely everything that you do, is you want to identify and stick to one niche, not a bunch of niches. Identify and stick to a niche. This isn't what you do. This is your specialty. Your niche is what makes you unique in that world. It's how you narrow down from all the other wellness coaches or relationship coaches or mindset coaches or money coaches or whatever that is. There is a particular person with a particular problem that you best serve. And so it's important that you identify and you narrow down and you stick with that niche, because that's what's going to drive your messaging. It's also going to help you to know where your ideal clients are spending the most time on social media, so you can get targeted on the channels that you are using. All right. Number 2, make sure your social profiles are visible, number 1, and connect worthy, number 2. What I mean by that, if you are using Instagram, if you're using Facebook for business in any way, don't hide your profile. You've got to make sure, especially on profile, your permissions are set up so anybody and everybody in the world on Facebook can see who you are, what you do, and they can see basic information on your Facebook page. Now, the cool thing about this, you can actually make your posts, your individual posts, you can make them set for family and friends. You don't have to put every single post out to the world. But all too often, I see profiles that people have everything hidden, and it makes it impossible to see who you are, who you help, and if I want to get connected with you. The same thing on Instagram. Don't make your profile private and expect that people are going to want to connect with you. It doesn't work that way. So that's the first thing. You've got to make them public, but make them connect worthy. Updated headshot. It should be a value statement in your bio of who you help and how you help them. So great questions to ask is, who are you and why does your client even care? Always think about it from their perspective, not your perspective. It will shift how you write your messaging. All right, number 3, take advantage of video. All of the experts, if you're paying attention at all, short form content is the number 1 way to get your message out to a larger audience faster. Live video, like what I'm doing, yes, it takes a little bit more prep work, but I also find it's a valuable tool in that way because you tend to reach more people than you do in static posts. So your content strategy is everything. And with that, I have what I call my 9 pillars, and this falls in my content connections marketing map. So with that, I'm going to go through this quick. If you want these show notes, then comment social and I will get you the show notes. So when you think about content pillars, all too often I hear experts talking about pillars like your pillars are just around your framework of what you do. There's actually 9 overall content pillars that apply to everybody. So with that, you have educational pillars. So each one, there's 3 pillars with 3 different subjects for each one. All right, educational pillars, you're going to call out mistakes. This is also going to be industry myths, and it is valuable tips. So that's what falls into your educational pillars. Then you have your inspirational pillars, which are fun facts. This is inspiration and motivation, and it's also how you shift beliefs. You use your content to shift your target audience's beliefs. And then your third is your sales or promotional pillars. And so this is where you get to address objections. You can also offer social proof, and it's actually where you're going to be promoting your offers. Now, all too often what I see is people are promote, and they forget the other 2 things within the sales or promotional pillars. They don't even include the rest. So you want to make sure that your content, you're covering all 9 pillars. All right. Now with static content is a must, right? This can be carousel posts. It can be regular posts along with short form, your video content. But no matter what, think about cross promotion. The reason why is not everybody learns the same way. So you've got to make sure your content is consumable, but it's also, some people want snackable content. What do I mean by that? They want to watch a 15-second reel. They're not necessarily going to want to read through a carousel post, and especially they're not going to spend 5 minutes to read a blog post. So this is why I think about cross-platform strategy. So that way you are paying attention to learning styles and you're meeting your audience where they are at. So it's super important. You also want to include email in your cross-platform strategy, because if you ever lose access to your social media, we've seen it happen again and again, then there goes your business. Cross-platform strategies are where it's at. All right. Look at being consistent. Consistent is important. If you go out on social media one day, you're not there for a week, you miss following up with people. You know, even your blog post, a great example. Maybe you've put blogs on your website. You haven't written a blog in a year. Somebody goes there and they see the last one was done a year ago. That doesn't speak well to your expertise. And all it is a simple pull the date off of it. Now, when it comes to social media, on the other hand, if you only go out once a year or once a month or once a week, the platforms aren't going to reward you because they tend to reward people who are posting consistently. But it's about valuable content posting. It's not a matter of, oh, I'm going to do 5 Instagram stories in one day and 1 reel. If it's all crap, they don't care. So this is where quality is more important than quantity, but consistency is everything. All right, build relationships first. You want to make sure that when you're out, if you're wondering why nobody's following you and why your followers aren't increasing, go follow more people specifically related to your niche. If you're out on Instagram and you're following the animal accounts, you're following influencers that have nothing to do with what you do, then the platform is going to show you more people that look like that. And you're not going to be engaging with the right people that see you as an expert that can help them. So make sure you are intentional, whether it be Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, I don't care. Make sure you're following people that fall into your niche. You're going to tell the platform that these are the people that you want to see more of. Yes, I have a lot of animal accounts that I follow, but I follow far more coaches, marketing experts, sales experts, business leaders than I do on the animal side. Okay, so it all works. All right. So the next thing, and I have an itch on my nose. Don't you love live video? The next thing is join communities. This is huge. If you want to attract clients online, then think about communities. LinkedIn has them. Facebook is a great way to get a part of that, Facebook groups. So you can get very specific on your niche focused Facebook groups. The other thing I want you to consider too, when it comes to communities, is go follow groups of the resources that your clients would be using. So that way it's not just other folks that look like you or where you can offer a voice, but it's also resources, because I guarantee your ideal clients are going to be spending time in there. No matter what, it's where you have that build relationship first. You're going to post, you're going to add value, you're going to answer questions. That's that same thing, right? Always focus on building relationships. And then you just want to be of service. So make sure that you're out, you're interacting, and you do that without the expectation of coming back. But when you work with that intent, I guarantee it will pay off dividends. All right, the next tip is collaborate with other experts. This is called borrowing other people's audiences. It's fantastic if you want to increase your reach and attract more clients on social. Why? When somebody introduces you, whether it's to do a Facebook Live, or maybe it's an Instagram collaboration on a post, which takes a couple of minutes, or it's a guest blog or a guest speaker, then they're giving you credibility with that introduction, but they're also introducing you to their audience. Now, if you're thinking, I don't have a big audience, so why on earth would anybody want to do that? If you are very niched with your expertise and you can add value and insight to somebody else as a guest, whether it be a Facebook Live or wherever that might be, then that is where you can add value back to them. And then the question you ask is, how can I, how else can I add value? How would you like me to promote this? I can email it to my list. Maybe your email list isn't that big, but it gives you a way to add value back. So that's why you want to collaborate with other experts. It's easy to do, even if you have a small following. All right, work your network. This is huge. If you want to attract more clients with social media, then what you're going to do is go out and look and see who is in your network. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be business associates. You're going to use social media and go research their profiles. You're going to look to see who you have in common. And is it a client that you're looking for? Maybe you've got a special offer that you're promoting. It could be a free workshop. Maybe you're looking at interviewing some people that can help you to fine-tune your message and your new offer. Work your network to do that. Just like I said before, if you reach out with that intent of what can I do to add value first to you? How can I help you? It's that giver mindset first, then I promise it will come back, but work your network. And number 10, this is the most important thing. You have to show up. If you want to get more clients on social media, that means you've got to put yourself out there. Posting once, hiding behind your desk and hoping that somebody's going to click yes is a slim to none chance that you're going to get clients that way. If you're more introverted, great. Use social media to your advantage. You don't have to show up to an in-person networking event. You can do everything online. You can make it so simple and just even print off what you need to say or the exact steps to follow through. It always takes new habits when we're doing something that is not uncomfortable or not comfortable for us. But this is where you want to be posting quality content. You want to be showing up consistently. You want to be commenting on things consistently, but you have to show up. There are people out there who need what you have to offer. So with that, social media can be an extremely powerful tool to build your brand, increase your visibility, and attract clients. I've just given you 10 tips to help you attract more clients using social media. No matter what, it starts with knowing who you are, who you best help, and then crafting a strategy where you can make all of that work together. You've got to give it time. Rome wasn't built in a day, and either is your social media following, but people need what you have to offer. So with that, I knew I flew through the content pillars section. If you want my content to connections marketing map, it's a simple spreadsheet, but it's going to help you plug in your information into the pillars. And I'm going to show you exactly how to use that so you can make sure that your content is addressing all of those pillars. So with that, I will catch you the next time.